and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian. I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest here in Central Europe. I hope everybody is having a good week so far, waiting on a fantastic weekend. Hi Abhil, welcome members. Hi Marjona, Ravshan Bekova, Jay, Eldor. Nice to see many students in the class and ready to learn. In this class, we are focusing on the reading section, and we're focusing, of course, on getting correct answers. That's the goal, right? Of course, as usual, the lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS success. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of our websites, we have lots of tips and strategies for the reading section, as well as practice exams and videos. Our academic website looks like this with the blue background. You can click that big red button to join our premium package. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access, so you can use it as long as you need to get the band score that you need on the exam. We are an official IELTS registration center, and we have British Council agents on our team. This is the general IELTS with the green background. You can click that big red button again. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. So lots of goodies in your My Student account. It's worth spending a couple dollars there. If you have any questions, you can just send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com, and I will gladly respond. Hi, Carolina. Good to see your moderator in the class as well. Okay, everyone. So just a quick reminder. This is kind of the unusual. Tomorrow, there are no classes. I'm taking an IELTS exam myself here in Budapest to keep my information fresh and my experiences fresh, empathize with students. So I'm doing exam tomorrow, but I will be back on Saturday to finish task 2 that we started last class with our members, and we will also do a speaking part 2 class on Saturday as well with everyone. So lots more to look forward to, and we'll have some exciting HD videos coming out over the next month as well, so make sure to keep following our channel and subscribe. Okay, everyone, so reading it is. And today's reading passage, it's coming from our 4th exam, the academic. But for the general IELTS, the section 3 reading, it's pretty much the same as are the passages in the academic IELTS. Okay? Yeah, Mystique, I'm super driven. Mystique saying, sir, I love how you're really driven. I'm really driven by all of the students around the world that were able to help reach their academic and immigration goals. And that's a really exciting and very rewarding kind of work. So absolutely. Okay, so this is the passage again. It's passage number 2 from our 4th exam. If you have access to our materials, that's where you will find it. And the title here is, Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? Okay, always read the title of the passage. That's very, very important. So when you're getting ready for your IELTS exam, you will often study just kind of like paragraphs or a couple paragraphs. But in the real exam, especially for the academic and also for section 3 in the general, you do have to read the whole passage, okay? It's much better to read and then answer than trying to answer while you're reading. I've been doing some IELTS practice exams through British Council and some practice questions, and I realized that that's one of the big confusions that's created by some of that material that you get through British Council is they just give you kind of like snippets of the reading passage for many of the questions. And it's okay practice, but I think that's where a lot of students think that, oh, I can just read and answer, read and answer, read and answer. But it doesn't work when you have a full passage with 3 sets of questions. Okay, so be really careful. All right. So first step is always to read the title and then to think about the contents based on the title. So here, the title is Why Do Some People Have Red Hair? So when you read this, what comes to mind? So why do some people have red hair? Okay, that's the title. So first of all, what is this about? So what do you think? When you read this title, what do you think it's going to be about? Why do some people have red hair? Oh, it says maybe it's something to do with genetics. Heredity. Yeah. So genetics. Heredity. Yeah, it's inherited. Okay. Keep thinking. All right. So what other questions? So when you read this title, why do some people have red hair? What other questions should come to mind? Okay. So what do you think? So instead of thinking of some answers, let's think of some questions in connection to this title so we can train our thinking. Okay. Kashirsha says maybe some kind of mutation. DNA. Uphill says it's melanin. Yeah. Gus says it's my favorite color. Uzma says it's fashion, parents then children. Good. Okay, so we're still on heredity. Let's not get stuck in just genetics and heredity. Yeah, Eldor says, how does this happen? Okay, that's a good question, Eldor. So how does red hair happen? Or why does red hair happen? Okay, and now we can say, okay, well, it's inherited from parents. And there may be some other reasons. Okay. Looking at extra personality, Jay says, okay. So... well, I would say, so when you're thinking of genetics, don't forget about that very important other piece. Ois says, very good, Ois, so express yourself more. So Ois says, the influence of climate. So, and I saw a couple others saying that as well. So influence of climate and geography. Okay. It is an evolutionary response. Okay, so everybody's clear on this? It is an evolutionary response. So a lot of our physical developments through the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, like with many other animals and plants, is a response to the demand of the environment, right, that we're living in. So it's an evolutionary response. All right, that makes sense, right? Okay, cool. So we've got some good ideas about this. Oh, and one other question I would ask is, why would an author write an essay about this question? So I would think about this as well. And of course, I'm sure you'll have some answers. So why do you think? Why do you think somebody at IELTS said, hey, this would be kind of cool? Let's write about this. Okay. Uphill, I don't think it's about dyeing our hair red. I don't really think that's going to be the focus of this. All right. Annie Ruth says maybe the author met somebody with red hair. Maybe. I think there's probably another reason. Prashita says maybe the author has red hair. Could be. But I think there's another reason. Okay. Janiel says, give options and opinions. I think it's because it's unique and interesting. Okay. People like to read facts about unique and interesting concepts. Red hair, we don't see it as much, right? So brown and black hair are much, much more common. Even blonde hair seems to be more common, especially if you're in Europe. Red hair is quite rare. So when somebody has red hair, everybody kind of notices like, oh, okay, that person's got red hair. So it's kind of unique and interesting, right? So people pay attention to that and ask questions about it. Okay, good. So we have all of these ideas. Now we look to the questions to see if we can get some more information. Okay. And here we go. So our first set of questions are fill in the blanks. And fill in the blanks are all somewhere in the passage. So it's good to review these questions before you read the passage. Just review them. Okay. Don't start reading right away. Just review them. So here we go. Red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Don't get too caught up on understanding every word. Just read it and get more information. Evolution and are both causes of the origin of red hair. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes something to occur on the skin. Okay, I usually fill the blank with the appropriate term. So many something, or the form of the word. This would be a noun, many noun to occur. So you can read it as, in addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many noun to occur on the skin. Just to make kind of a note in your head that you're looking for a noun or an adjective or an adverb. Okay. All right. Question 18 to 21. Do the following statements agree with the claims of the writer? It's a yes, no, not given. This question type, don't review it. There's no reason to review it. We don't know what's in the passage, what's not in the passage, so we just kind of go through that. And then 22 to 26 is complete the summary using a list of words. So we have a list of words A to H. Completing the summary, it's good to read. The words I would not read just because I'm not sure which ones are useful, which ones aren't. So I'm just going to read the actual summary. Okay, so again, read with me. This is a reading class, everyone, so don't just listen to me because then you're just really in a listening class. It's a reading class, so read, and if you can, you should read aloud. Okay, so that you can hear yourself, and you're combining the movement of your mouth and your tongue. Focus on your pronunciation, okay, and you can hear yourself. So let's do this. All right, here we have redhead misconceptions. Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack a noun. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and adjective people. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely noun because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss noun. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the noun of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. Okay, cool. So we're going to be reading about the uniqueness of redheads, definitely the causes, the science behind it as well. And just checking to see if I have any more questions. Nope. It's passage 3 after. So I'm going back to the very beginning, and now I start reading. And again, for those of you especially taking the academic IELTS, in the real exam, you do have to read the whole passage. So a very important tip, everyone, okay? So, and you know, these are the kinds of ideas that I realize when I sit the IELTS exam, and I think this is why good IELTS trainers should always sit the real exam so that they get these kinds of experiences. And I knew this, but studying for my IELTS exam tomorrow reminded me about this. So it's okay. So just remember this important tip for reading. Getting high bands in reading. Okay. So early before your IELTS exam, like let's just say 2 months before, it is okay to read just paragraphs and answer questions and check your comprehension. Okay? Here's the important part. Okay? But in the 4 weeks leading up to your official test, especially for academic students, okay, you must focus on reading the entire passages and answering questions. Okay? Avoid partial passages. Does everybody get what I mean by that? Okay, so the reason I say this is there is a lot of practice material online, practice material that IDP and British Council give you also, which are like, oh, sample question for true, false, not given. Oh, sample question for multiple choice. And then the student's like, oh, this is great. It's just a paragraph I'm reading. I see the answer. I quickly put it in. Oh, I'm reading some more. I see the answer. Oh, I put it in. Oh, the real exam is going to be a cinch. I'm just going to go in there, read, answer, read, answer, read, answer, read, answer, and then the student gets into the real exam and, it's not the same because the real passage is 5-6 paragraphs. It's 700 words. You have 13 questions. They don't all come in this order of the paragraph or the passage, and then there's just a huge confusion, wasting time. The candidate is reading the same paragraph over and over again to answer different parts of different questions, and it's a mess, okay? So unfortunately, some of the practice material that you see online is really confusing, and it's actually counterintuitive to the real test, okay? So in the 4 weeks, at least, before your real test, you should avoid just reading partial paragraphs and answering questions, but you should read full passages and answer full sets of questions. It's very important. Then you're not going to be shocked by this reality, okay? All right? Everybody clear on that, right? Okay? So I just reminded myself about this because I was looking at some of my exam materials that British Council sent me for my exam tomorrow, and I was looking at these kind of paragraph samples, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty dangerous for a student to think that this is how it works in the real test. Okay, so it's a very risky business. Careful. Okay. All right, so we're going to read the whole passage here. So you need whole passage comprehension. Okay. All right, here we go. So read with me, and we will go through this. I'll show you how to read accurately. Okay. All right. Okay, here we go. So from the top, red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay, so introduction about the uniqueness of red hair. the geographical locations where red hair is more or less common, and the thesis of genetics, evolution, and geography. Okay, if you don't understand everything, no problem. Just keep going. Focus on what you do understand. All right. So here we go. The gene for red hair. So, okay, genetics, right? It's the first one. No surprise, it's the gene. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene. And even then, the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for redheadedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of redheaded child to non-redheaded parents. The parents may not be redheaded themselves, but they carry the gene, and if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. Okay, so this paragraph, the genetic inheritance of redheads. It's a recessive gene. Both parents need to have it, but they don't need to have red hair necessarily. Okay, all right. Next paragraph, probably something to do with evolution, my guess, because that's the thesis. Okay. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin 1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants. Exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets, even when underexposed to the sun. Okay, what is this paragraph about? This paragraph is about a little bit more about the genetics, this MC1R gene, and also the evolution. Redheads have a gene that helps them to have higher levels of vitamin D with lower levels of sunlight. Okay, I need to get that information. So, of course, this is happening in my head. I'm thinking about this why question, right? Okay. All right, so I'm going to keep going, and I'm guessing that the rest of the essay will be about the evolution, geography, and some more information about redheads in society. That would be my guess. Okay. Here we go. So, again, read with me aloud. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because redheadedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. All right, so some interesting attributes of redheads. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. This I'm visualizing, so I'm imagining myself as a redhead, and I bruise easily, and I get cold a little bit easily, but I'm happy and cheery, okay? So these are the stereotypes. All right. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair, as a recessive gene, has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay. All right, conclusion about redheads. So it seems like there aren't many, but it's unlikely that they will disappear. Okay, so I have a pretty good idea of the passage. I'm confident that I can now answer many of these questions. All right, so I go to my short answers. And here we go with number 14. Again, red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. Here I'm looking for a verb, okay, noun of sorts. What am I looking for? And if I visualize this, then I can definitely answer this with something from Western Europe. So red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. With Northern Europe would not make sense. So if I put Northern Europe, read the full sentence again. Red hair is common in countries with Northern Europe from Western Europe. Doesn't make sense. Rashika says immigration. FN says immigration history. Yeah, and just immigration is enough. Okay. What would be a country? So what kind of a country? If I'm processing this information, and I actually thought about this while I was reading it. So red hair is common in countries with immigration from Western Europe. What country would that be? So what country do you think we're thinking of in this case? Or which countries are we thinking about? Yeah, so Ois says Canada, not UK, because UK would be a Western European country. So Canada, USA, Australia, New Zealand, right? South Africa, maybe, okay? So some of those countries, all right? Okay, yeah, US and Canada for sure. Scotland's a part of Europe. All right, so Scotland, UK, Western Europe, everyone. It's part of Western Europe. All right, number 15. Something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. I remember this one. If I have to, though, I'll check the spelling. Moria and Collod both agree that, let's not go there. It's a recessive gene. Okay? A recessive gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation. Yeah. So no need to check there. If you don't know the spelling, go back and take a look. I remember that it was at the beginning of paragraph 2. So one of the other reasons, students, why you want to read is because then you know where to look. So it's a much more efficient way of looking for information. So here it is in the beginning. The gene for red hair is what's known as a recessive gene. Here's an important, interesting tip. So keep this in mind, okay? Very important for the high band scores. So tip, ideally, you do not want to skim, scan, and search the text for answers. Rather, you want to reference the text for answers, and the way to do this is to read the passage. Okay, so there's a big difference between searching for answers and referencing for answers. What we're doing here is referencing for answers. I'm not searching for the word recessive. I know that the second paragraph talks about genetics, and I'm just referencing for the spelling of that word. And I know what I'm looking for. I'm not searching for it. Does everybody understand the clear difference between searching, scanning, skimming, as opposed to referencing for answers? That's a very, very important difference. Okay, the first one is very slow. You make a lot of mistakes with scanning. The second one is very fast and very accurate, where you're referencing for your answers. Okay, it's a big, big difference. Okay, all right, lots of thumbs up. Got it, Rugub's got it too. Okay, good. All right, so let's keep going here. Evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. Eldor says geography. I saw a couple other people answering geography as well. Sandeep agrees. Yeah, so evolution and geography, right? The location. Okay, so good. Number 17, in addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes something to occur on the skin. Okay, again, I know that MC1R gene is mentioned, I believe, in the third paragraph. Okay. Yeah, so the MC1R gene, and it says something on the skin. So I'm looking for any information that is indicative of the skin, and I remember I saw the word skin a little bit lower, so it was tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles. Okay, so myriad freckles is my answer. Now, I don't need to write myriad, I just need to write freckles, because myriad means the same as many, right? So I have my adjective here, okay, so I just need freckles. All right? For those of you who don't know the meaning of the word freckles, when somebody has these kinds of dots on their face, okay? So these dots are called freckles, freckles on the face. So like little red or pinkish red dots on the face. Those are freckles, okay? If anybody eats Wendy's burgers, you'll know that Wendy's got freckles, and she's a redhead, okay? All right. Here we go. So yes, no, not given. Do the statements agree with the claims of the writer? This type of question is much easier if you actually read the passage. All right, if you haven't read the passage, oh boy, you're going to be in trouble with this kind of a question, because it's hard to know if something's not given without reading the passage. Okay, so Here we go. Number 18. Excess sunshine causes rickets. So is this information important to know? Well, because I read the passage, I know that it is, because I know that it's part of the evolution of redheads. So having read the passage, I know that it's important information. Okay? Now, is it true that excess sunshine, so let's paraphrase this. So too much sun causes rickets. Is that true? We need the sun for vitamin D? Probably not. That would be really bad evolution, right? So here it's no, so we can just go no or just put the capital letter N and we're good. So we know it's given. We know that it's false. First step is always to figure out, is it given or not? Number 19, high amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Okay. Well, is it important to know? Yes, it's important. I remember reading about this. All right. So it's important for the passage. But is it true? I don't know. Okay. So for my second question of is it true or is it agreed upon with the, I don't know. Okay. So it's okay for the yes, no, not given questions to say I don't know or maybe for the first or the second question. So here I don't know, but I do know where I saw the word eumelanin, and that was somewhere in either the second or third paragraph. Now, this is a very unique word, so I can go back and I can look for that word referencing the first and second paragraph where I saw that. Okay, so just jump back here. Now, I kind of remember it was more in the third paragraph. So if I look through this and I'm looking for the word eumelanin, I don't really see it. And it was also a little bit more to do with their evolution and something with the sun. I remember vitamin D was in here, right? So I'm looking for the word eumelanin in this paragraph, okay? Seeing if I can discover it. So I go through it. Now I have an average of about 40 seconds for each question. So if I've answered the first few much faster, I don't have to panic. I'm going to just keep going until I find the word eumelanin. And finally, at the end here, I locate it. Okay, so as soon as I locate the word, I don't just read this way, but I go back to the beginning. So one of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. Okay, so because they have low amounts of eumelanin, they absorb more vitamin D. All right, okay, so now I go back. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D? No. Redheads have low amounts. That's why they absorb it easily. So careful. Remember, everyone, that in true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given, it's okay to say, I don't know. Okay? So another tip for you here. For true, false, not given, yes, no, not given, same idea. It is okay to think, maybe, maybe not. Okay, check. Go a bit slower. Okay, so you have time. Just don't rush. Don't get all excited and confused. Okay. All right. You'll make it up. Not every question will take you 40 seconds to answer, as long as you've read the passage and you have a good idea. Number 20, redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. would the author talk about this information that redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments in the present tense? I would say, well, in the past, obviously they had adapted to their environments. In this case, the author doesn't express this in present tense. So I'm just going to confidently go with a not given and move on. Okay. 21, redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Is it important? Perhaps. I clearly remember the author saying that this is a misconception, so it's false. Okay, so in this case, redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. No. Okay, make sure not to confuse these with true false. All right. So the last one is no. So it's no, no, not given, and no. Now, if I made a mistake here, it's not the end of the world. But I'm sure I got at least 3 of the 4 right. Okay. All right. So let's keep going. Now we have this last bit here. This is the redhead misconception. So this is the stereotypes. I remember that. Okay. About being witches and soulless and all of this other weird, crazy information. And of course, read the instructions carefully. So it says, complete the summary using the list of words A to H below. Okay. So redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack something. So I'm going to finish this sentence on my own first, and then I'm going to look for an answer. Okay. So how would I finish that? What do they lack? What don't redheads have? Moria says a soul. Yeah. Physical strength is not a bad idea, Sandeep, but because of the article a, it wouldn't make grammatical sense. These have to be grammatically correct. So lack of physical strength, no, it wouldn't be countable. Physical strength is non-count. Okay, so false, cleanliness, true, generations, quirky, proportion, soul number, F, soul. Okay, so lack a soul. So they lack a soul, and it is, sorry, what was that letter? H? No, F. Okay. All right. Long day at the office. All right. So today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and fun people. It was some kind of word like fun. I think quirky. Quirky was something there. Okay. Maybe. So let's take a look. False, cleanliness, true, generations, quirky, proportion, soul number, B. Quirky. Quirky works for funny, right? If you think funny, then think quirky. Quirky would be funny. Okay, and that was B, I believe. Okay, the perception that redheads are dying out is entirely something because the MC1R gene is recessive. So this is coming from the conclusion, and the conclusion says that the idea that redheads are dying out. Now, if I don't remember, I can check because, again, I'm referencing here. It's super fast, and I remember it was the conclusion. It actually said dying out. Okay, so it says a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct. This is patently false. Okay, so and a lot of you are saying false. Talila and Irfana and Carolina and Osman all agree that that's false. Okay. So let's look for that. E, nope, true. A, false. Okay. So false it is. Because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss a generation. So I remember that one's a generation, right? So it can miss a generation. False cleanliness, true. Generations, that's perfect match. Quirky proportions, so I'm going to go with generations. Here we go. That was D. G. Okay. So always remember to put the letter and not the word. Otherwise, you'll get it wrong. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. Though the 27 Hamzavardhan says number is the last answer. I agree with you. Kolod says population. Yeah, and Kolod, that's a good answer. So Kolod's thinking population. If there's no word like population, the closest one would be number, right? So yeah, H, number of redheads. Okay, great. So that is this passage in 40 minutes with lots and lots of explanations. So just imagine all of the extra time I took to explain and give you tips and go into detail and kind of go into little stories. So if I could do it in 40 minutes, just take away all my story time and instruction time, and we're definitely in that 20-minute range, okay? All right. Max, the other words are useless. You don't need them. So you just use these ones in the answers. Okay. All right. So again, remember that when you're getting ready for your IELTS exam, you need to read whole passages and answer all the questions in the weeks leading up to your exam. Otherwise, you'll get into trouble if you're just reading and answering at the same time. Doesn't quite work that way. To get lots more practice for the reading section, definitely check us out at ahelp.com for academic IELTS, glshelp.com for general IELTS. Again, it's just a matter of clicking on this big red button, and it's a one-time payment for lifetime access for academic IELTS. It's this blue background here, so it's a good idea. All right, everyone. So wish me luck. I have my IELTS exam tomorrow. And I will be back on Saturday with some more classes to finish up the Task 2 essay with members. And we'll also do some speaking part 2 practice. Thank you, Catherine. The tables have turned. You're now wishing me luck instead of... Now, if somebody's taking the exam as well this weekend, then all the best of luck to you also. So have a great rest of your day. Have a great Friday tomorrow. Hopefully I will see everybody back on Saturday. I'm Adrian, and I'm checking out from Central Europe for now. Much love to all of you. Get a good night's rest. I know I will, to start my exam full of energy tomorrow. Bye for now.